When in Rome, do as the Romans do. And if you've traveled to Italy, you know you definitely want to eat as the Romans do. When humans travel, we like to experience different kinds of foods. And our sense of taste is often the first real way to take in a new place. But does this human quality obtain anywhere else in the animal kingdom? My colleague Pam Bellick joins us now to talk about some new research showing that, in fact, it does. Hi, Pam.
Hi, David.
So tell us about the research with vervet monkeys.
Well, it did not actually involve pasta primavera or cannoli, unfortunately, but it did involve corn. And it's actually a fascinating study that was done in South Africa in which scientists wanted to see, we have this idea that animals learn because of how they're genetically programmed and, kind of individual learning. But they wanted to see if monkeys could learn just by sort of copying whatever the social order was in a community. So first what they did is they trained groups of monkeys. These are wild vervet monkeys. And they trained them to either like or dislike a certain color of corn. In this case, they dyed some corn pink, some corn blue, and in 2 of the wild areas, they made the pink corn taste really bad by using aloe leaves, which are apparently very, very bitter, and they did the opposite in the other 2 areas. So
this was done in a game reserve.
A game reserve in
Not
South
in
Africa.
a lab.
That's right. That's right. And so one of the really powerful things about this is that, although of course there's human intervention here, these were animals who were observed in the wild. And so the first thing that happened is that very quickly the animals in the pink taste bad area only ate the blue, and the animals in the blue taste bad areas only ate the pink. Then what they did is they switched it out. They waited a few months. All of a sudden, pink tastes just as good as blue. There's no difference whatsoever. They're sitting side by side in Tupperware containers, equally available. And still, the ones who had been trained to like one color stuck with that color. They waited until those generations had babies, and they found that the baby monkeys only ate what they saw their moms eat. So if your mom was eating blue, you ate blue, and you would even climb on top of the pink in the next door Tupperware container to eat the blue.
So it's like growing up to love mom's tomato sauce.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a mother, I think, that makes sense. Mother is always right?
And your tomato sauce is excellent.
Well, thank you. But one of the even cooler findings about this is that apparently vervet monkeys, the males, migrate. They move around. They like to sort of play the field. And so they waited until some of these males from, say, the blue area moved over into a pink area. And they said, let's see what they do. Well, it turned out that even if you were conditioned to think pink is bad, blue, only blue for me, once you moved to a pink area, you switched to pink very quickly. You did what you saw the monkeys in that area do. You ate what they ate.
Even though you were conditioned to love the other color of corn, once you saw the locals doing it,
exactly,
you did it yourself.
Exactly.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Do the researchers have any sense of why this happened?
Well, they have some theories. They think that, first of all, they were surprised actually at how consistent this was. They saw this with almost every animal. So, in a way, the results were striking even for their expectations. But their feeling is that what you have here from a sort of survival advantage point of view is that, first of all, it makes sense that if something's tasting bad, you're going to remember that it's tasting bad and you're just going to stick with what you know is good and you're not going to experiment, right? But when you're moving to another area, that same kind of risk averseness may take effect too. Yeah, you have this memory that blue is bad, but if you go to this new area and you see everybody's eating blue and, they're walking around and they're surviving and they're having babies, makes sense for me to do that without trying what I'm used to. So it's a form of social learning which is really interesting, something that is, really being sort of, I think, just validated in the animal, in animal studies now in some other ways. But it does seem to have some survival advantage.
Usually we ask what are the human implications of a study like this. In this case, I guess the question goes in reverse.
Exactly.
We're seeing a human-like behavior in animals. And I guess this is the first time this has been documented.
This is, I think, the first time this has been documented in this clear a way. There have been some other experiments involving orangutans and nest-building calls that they make. I was just on the phone with a scientist who was saying, the whale people are getting into this, the dolphin people are getting into this. And also this group of scientists who are studying the vervet monkeys, they are now going back to see if it's not just food, but if they can also sort of document the same thing with mating calls and other types of calls, which are apparently different. There's variation in different groups depending on where they live, and if you moved them to another area, would they adapt that same call? So it'll be really interesting to see if this sort of cultural learning phenomenon, how far that extends.
It's almost analogous to not only getting to know the food of another culture, but also starting to speak the language.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Pam Bellick is a science reporter for the New York Times. She joined me to talk about new research on vervet monkeys. Pam, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. I'm going to go eat some pink corn now.